The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.
Greetings of the day, my fellow listeners, and welcome to another edition of Seize Your Business. My name is Steve Eschbach. I am your host. I am the owner of Transworld Business Advisors of Naperville. We are one of about 8 of us now here in the Chicagoland area, but also one of 250 worldwide. And our business is the largest business brokerage business in the world. We're also the fastest growing. We are here to assist both business owners confidentially sell their business and match them with qualified buyers. However, we've also been in touch with a few business owners that are looking to expand by acquisition, so we can help you in that manner as well. We also do franchise sales for those of you looking to enter the entrepreneurial world. And you're lucky today, you have 2 franchise owners who are going to be talking to you on the Seize Your Business podcast. And we also do franchise development. So if you are a business owner looking to expand via the franchise model, we have a group called Accurate Franchising that is a sister company of Transworld that can assist you with all the documentation, marketing, etc., to get you ready to expand via the franchise model. So today we're going to learn a little bit about Grout Medics, and I'm delighted to have today Ron Bandyk, who is the owner of Grout Medics here in is it Southwest Chicago? Is that what your franchise territory is?
Yeah, west, southwest, south suburbs of Chicago.
So Grout Medics, for those of you that may not know, is a franchise, and he obviously takes care of everything below your feet. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in short order. So first of all, Ron, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about your Grout Medics franchise here in the Western Chicagoland suburbs.
Well, we've been in business actually for over 25 years. So I actually bought an existing business a little over 10 years ago. And we focus mostly on maintenance and repair type stuff. We don't do new installations. So any kind of tile, grout, natural stone issues you might have, caulking. Most of our business is residential, but we do some commercial work as well. We can help you with restoring an area that has been neglected, or just doing regular ongoing maintenance that needs to be done with replacing caulk or sealing grout, things like that, sealing natural stone.
Yeah, for many of us homeowners, that tends to be something that is needed more often than we'd like to imagine. So how about your team? Do you have a team with you? Are you a solopreneur, or do you have a team of engineering experts, if you will, or technical people?
I have 5 technicians that do the work. My focus, other than running the business and the back office stuff, is with sales. So I'm typically doing 8 to 10. Usually it's 8 to 9 estimates a day. And then the 5 technicians get scheduled to do the work. I also have somebody locally who works part-time who helps me with scheduling. If I don't schedule a job when I'm in the home right then, they'll call in and work with Jenny to do that. Or if there's other issues that come up, she'll take care of that for me. And then we also, through the franchise, have a call center. So I have a phone system that's set up, and if somebody's calling in to schedule an estimate, they get directed to the call center. And there's a couple women in the call center that get them set up in our system and get the estimates scheduled.
That's great. That's good to know, Ron. We're going to get into more of that in a bit. But as I do with many of my guests on these Seize Your Business podcasts, I need to rewind the videotape a little bit and talk a little bit about your childhood. Where you born and raised, how your parents influenced you, how your family influenced you. The key question I ask everyone: when you were a little kid and you were on your tricycle in your local neighborhood riding around, did you think you'd be a Grout Medics owner? So what was your life like before Grout Medics? So I give you wide open reins to talk about how this all happened to you.
Yeah, as I was riding my big wheel around, I never thought I'd be doing tile and grout, but it was really in high school, I guess, that the business career kind of got started. I grew up in the city of Chicago on the southwest side and went to St. Rita High School. And while I was in high school, I took some accounting classes and got interested in business, and I actually ended up going to DePaul University and studying accounting. And when I graduated from DePaul, went into public accounting for a while. I was in public accounting for several years, and then ended up, when I was going into public accounting, I guess I should step back, I was interested in smaller businesses. And so I ended up at a firm that focused kind of on more entrepreneurial, smaller businesses in the Chicago market. And eventually ended up at Coopers and Lybrand, which is now PricewaterhouseCoopers, working on Hyatt Corporation. So kind of got away from that, but always had an interest in doing something on my own. And eventually I left public accounting to go work at a client. And then when the tech boom was going on, I ended up leaving a job to work at a technology startup that lasted about 6 or 7 months. And then I went to another larger technology startup. And that didn't work out either with the technology bust, but so I had a couple other jobs in between there doing accounting. I was a controller for a small real estate firm when the real estate market went south. And I'd always wanted to do something on my own, and I just wasn't sure what it was. So I actually connected up with somebody, a business broker who did franchises, very similar to what you do. And they identified a few franchises for me, one of which was the Grout Medic. I ended up reaching out to the gentleman who owned the territory where I lived. I was living in LaGrange Park at the time, and found out in starting to talk to him about the business that he was interested in selling. He had recently been remarried and was looking to retire. And so I ended up working with him for a few months and then buying his business as opposed to opening a brand new franchise territory that felt comfortable to me. There's a little bit of a premium to that, but obviously there was a track record to the business. You could see that the territory was successful. So that's how I got into Grout. There wasn't a real, historical desire to, but once I learned about the business and started doing some due diligence, I learned that, every house has tile floors almost. Every house has a bathroom. Most houses in the area that we serve have several bathrooms. We've done one house that had 11 bathrooms.
Oh my goodness.
So, we have a real strong market, and the niche of, doing maintenance and repairs is really an area that, doesn't have a lot of competition. I mean, we certainly do have competition, but it's an area where people reach out to like builders or contractors or the, guys who put in a bathroom when they have repair needs and they don't want to do that. So that's where we come in. We really fit into that niche very well and have succeeded in continuing to fill that niche, and I've managed to grow the business over time.
Yeah. So Ron talks about something that I do get involved in too, and that would be the subject of an entire different Seize Your Business opportunity. But when you're talking about franchises, you don't have to buy a brand new franchise and establish a new territory. I've sold a number of existing franchises, and the good news is not only do you get the support of the franchisor, but you also get a business that's already up and running with a customer base, with some of the infrastructure in place. So that is to your benefit for sure, Ron. So when you were looking to get into a business and you were talking about franchises, what kind of got you into, and I would characterize this as more of a trade business than it would be a service business. Is that right? So what particularly attracted you about Grout Medic?
Well, the investment was not terribly significant. We use steam machines, and those are about $1,700. So there isn't a huge investment. We don't have a shop where people come in to see what we do. So that was beneficial. And really, kind of looking at the market. And when I first got in, I did have an idea that the commercial market was an untapped market for the franchise. And I've approached that, and we do some commercial work, but, over time found that the sales cycle is quite a bit different. A lot of the work has to be done at night when, businesses are closed. And unless you can dedicate a team to working on that shift, it really throws things for a loop. We occasionally do work, for example, at restaurants, and I have to, take a team off work for the day that they're going to be working that night. And then, they work all night, they're no good the next day. So it really, for it to be profitable for me, I have to almost make, twice as much. And I don't have enough of that business to support having a full-time nighttime crew. So, kind of went back to focusing on just the residential aspects of it, but it's worked out.
Good for you. And for those of you that are not familiar with franchises, one of the good things about a franchise is that you do get the necessary training for not only doing the trade that you do, but also in terms of marketing, how to interact with customers. Tell us a little bit more about the franchisor support with what you do, Ron.
Well, because my situation was a little bit different than a brand new franchise, it actually worked out because the gentleman that I bought the business from actually had previously done training for the franchisor. So he was well versed in bringing somebody new on. And so I worked with him for several weeks in learning the business, both what we do, how to price it, how to sell, how to interact with customers, as well as how to train technicians when they come on board. At that time, the franchise was a little bit more primitive than it is now as far as back office. Since I've come on board, we put in a CRM system, and that's one of the great things about the franchise is that they did do a great job identifying a system that works really well. It takes the customer from the very beginning to the end of a job. And our business, while we do get a lot of recurring business, once we go in and clean up a bathroom or restore a floor, you don't need us for years to come unless you have another room or move to a new house. So there's not a lot of recurring business, but the system allows people to come in, get set up. Now I use an iPad Pro where I have before and after pictures that I can show customers, but I also am able to pull up the system on that and do the estimate right there on the iPad. I am able to show them and walk them through that after I've gone through the house and identified the projects that they have that they want to work on. And then this, if something is scheduled, the technician has access to that system on an app on their phone. There's no paper anymore. I don't have a pen. And the software and all of that was something that the franchise put together for us franchisees. They also did start a call center, which has been helpful because doing that on my own, the previous owner used to have a voicemail and he'd go back and check on voicemails and call back. People, especially nowadays as things have changed, don't want to do that. A lot of times people don't leave voicemails. And so having the call center where almost every call is answered live was a big help for us.
Yeah.
And that's, some of the big things they provide that help.
Yeah. Well, that's an excellent point because I think one of the advantages of being a franchisor or franchisee owner is that you get the national, more global support, but you also have an opportunity to put your own local flair into it. Now, one thing I was remiss about opening this Seize Your Business podcast is that you and I are both members of the Business Lounge in Naperville, which is, I would characterize as a shared office space, if you will. To some degree, it's not like your Regis, not like some of the others that you're familiar with. It's more of a casual environment where we come together various times. I'm at the office, you're at the office. Sometimes we bump into one another, which is kind of neat, but you're able to add your local connections, if you will, your local business development efforts to what the franchisor can do for you as well. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, we get some ideas and, we have a bit of a network of franchisees that talk, and we have an annual meeting where we get together. But, for our business, identifying who it is best that we network with has been helpful. For us, and especially the last 12 months, we've been quite busy with business from realtor referrals because the real estate market is so strong. We get a lot of referrals. Realtors want a bathroom cleaned up or a floor restored before the pictures are taken and the house goes on the market so that it shows well. And that was, something that was identified through networking through the franchise. But it's also helpful. I've had networking connections through places like the Business Lounge, where I've met people who do things that are complementary to what we do, but are beyond our capabilities. Some of those things are like general contractors and such. We get into a situation where somebody might call us because their grout is broken, but really the issue is that they need a new floor, and that's not something we do. So I have some contacts I've made over the years with local networking that, I can provide them a solution or a potential solution for that.
So it's interesting you mentioned, Ron, about you're doing some repairs and improvement work for the real estate market, particularly the residential real estate market, which is extremely hot here. You've actually benefited from COVID-19. I mean, because more people, and I know that the real estate market is going like crazy. So you must get a lot of business activity from what's going on currently, I would imagine.
Yeah, I've had the business for a little over 10 years, and this, through well, it was through July. I haven't closed out August yet, but the last 12 months were the busiest 12 months that we've had in that 10-year period. We've added a technician about a little over a year ago, and I'm actually going into the Business Lounge later today to interview a new technician.
There you go.
We can bring on another person.
So give me a couple of three things that you have found since you've owned your business for 10 years that works well for you. We're talking about the subject matter being Seize Your Business. And what are some of the things that you've learned both from the franchisor as well as your interaction with the other business owners that you come in contact with that has really helped your business where you are today?
Well, I think from the franchisor side, the system and having technology, we have kind of a range of people that we compete with. We compete with on some things with handymen, who are, working out of their truck, doing the work themselves. And having the system that we have really does help set us apart, because there's an email that goes out when an estimate is scheduled, and it has a picture of me usually going out to do the estimate. And when we schedule the work, there's a picture of the technician who's going to be coming into their home. It also has a system where it'll alert the customer as to what the ETA is when either I'm coming out for the estimate or the technician is coming for the work. And that's something that, helps distinguish us. On a more local, personal side, I think just, the need to network is an important factor, and something that we, need to do more of. But I've also been able to separate myself a bit from the franchise by we offer natural stone restoration, which isn't a part of the franchise. So I made a connection with somebody that we subcontract for that. We also subcontract tub reglazing. So we have some services that we can provide in that way that fit right in with what we do.
So you mentioned a little bit about you, and how many of other Grout Medics are in the surrounding area, would you say?
There's one other Grout Medic who handles the far west suburbs. He's based out of St. Charles. And there's another gentleman who used to be a Grout Medic who handled the city and kind of the northwest suburbs. He didn't renew his franchise when it came up, but he still does the same thing. And we work together and actually honor each other's old territories. So we share leads if they're not in our area. Yeah. But with the three of us, we really cover, almost the entire market.
And that's the point I wanted to bring up here, because while you are a franchisee owner, you're not in this all by yourself. You've got some other connections in the same exact specialty that you're in to rely on as well. And I'm sure there are cross referrals among the three of you as well. I got to believe that, right?
Oh, yeah. We get referrals back and forth from each other. Also, the resources is a great thing. A lot of what we do is pretty consistent. It's like the whatever that is, 70-30 rule. But then there are some odd things, or you get into situations where you have a question or something that you haven't seen before, and we have a network, that we can reach out to see if somebody else has done that. And it happens more with our annual meetings, but we talk about what people are seeing in the market, what marketing efforts are working. Things have changed in the 10 years I've had the business. We used to focus more on kind of the direct mail route to bring in business. And over time that's changed to obviously the internet is a big factor now, and it's good to have somebody you can see other experiences from, and then just bounce ideas off of, and that's something that you get with the franchise that you don't have if you're on your own.
Yeah. So this is kind of ironic. So the next couple questions, because we're running out of time here, but ironically, Ron and I have the same office address, 1515 Legacy Circle, because we're both members of the Business Lounge. He's got a different suite number than I do. But before we get into more on learning about how to get in touch with you, Ron, is there anything that we haven't covered? And it doesn't have to be about Grout Medic. It can just be about whatever business tips you have. And I know you're an avid networking guy like I am. Business development is your forte. Anything we haven't covered here that you might want to share with our audience about, being an effective business owner?
Well, yeah, I mean, networking definitely is very important, but the one thing I guess that we haven't maybe touched on that I do think is important is just focusing on your customer. I can't tell you how many times I hear about competitors who maybe don't return phone calls or don't show up for estimates that are scheduled. Just pretty basic blocking and tackling type stuff. And I think if you focus on that and do that well, oddly enough, it helps to distinguish you and people appreciate it. And I think it's important, it helps. What I found is you build a reputation by doing good work, and that translates to others, through social networks, social media and such. And once you develop that, you want to maintain it. But if you have a good reputation, the sale becomes much easier.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So last but not least, Ron, how we're going to find out about you, where we're going to go on the World Wide Web to find out more about you and your business.
Yeah, we have a local website, it's groutguy.com, and that has information about our particular area. The franchise also has a website, which is thegroutmedic.com. There's phone numbers there. There's ways to contact us if you want to reach out and request a free estimate. We'd be happy to come in and take a look at any project you have. We have a pretty low $200 minimum job. So, we do small jobs to whatever it is you might need.
Yeah. And I can tell you, based on my firsthand experience, Ron is a terrific guy, nice guy. You'd love to get in contact with him. So I welcome our audience. Please reach out to Ron if you have your grout needs requiring some service. He'd be an ideal person to help you out. And audience, thanks for listening. I appreciate your time and consideration here on learning a little bit more about seizing your business. Thank you very much. And be sure to join us for other episodes.
Thank you.